Hi, this is Ryan at xcannabis.com. I wanted to just finally discuss my political views as far as how I describe, where I align with and how I feel about policies. I am also a minister. I follow, biblical teachings, but also teachings from Hindi culture, lots of different pagan beliefs, naturopathic beliefs, a lot of different things have influenced who I am, but I don't subscribe to groups and, mob mentality. So I wanted to do this because somebody said, in response to my post about Christianity and the cannabis movement and how I think militant atheism is pushing religious people, religious voters away from voting pro-cannabis. And somebody said, hey, you're, kind of representing me, and I think that it might be hurting my reputation, basically. And I just wanted anybody who thinks that I'm representing them to know that I am not. I'm definitely not representing you. Not at all. If you align yourself with beliefs that I have, just know that they are not my beliefs to begin with. I mean, I have learned a lot about politics, world history, and, I have aligned myself with ideals from, past cultures, most specifically with ancient Ireland, pre-conquest ancient Ireland, 2,200 years ago, before there was a state, before there was a coercive government. And these beliefs, these ideals came long before me. So, when you think, if you think that you're aligning yourself with me or you're somehow being represented by me, dispel that idea and go learn about history. If you want to learn about what libertarianism is about, I came to describe that a little bit. I also came to describe what a minister is. I'm an ordained minister, and I'm somebody who has very idealistic, philosophical, and theological beliefs. And some people may think that I'm here to represent them as a minister or as a clergy member. Again, I am not, and I'll explain that in a minute. First of all, let me give you the definition of a libertarian, and then I'm also going to play a video by Jeffrey Myron, who describes his view of libertarianism, or what a libertarian is. And I agree with most of what he says. There's a few things that I don't align myself with, exactly or identically with what he's saying. But most of it is good, and I agree with most of it. But here is basically a definition of a libertarian. At the most fundamental level, libertarians have respect for individual decisions. Libertarians are different from Republicans and Democrats because both of those groups attempt to use government to advance their ideas on how the public should act or behave, while libertarians think that individuals should be able to live their own lives as they see fit. That is one very good representation of what a libertarian is. Let me just play you Jeffrey Myron. I think he's got a really great view on this as well. And I was talking with Vivian McPeak about this as well. We discussed different people and different ideals and different approaches to solving our problems in the world. And I used the fact that a lot of the socialistic societies, for example, the European Union, socialized healthcare, and other principles of the world are now failing right now. We see all of these countries in Europe becoming insolvent and rioting, and their people rising up. We see this in America, where we're becoming insolvent and our dollar is deflating, and we're going through economic collapse. And we see this only after socialism was introduced. Prior to the 1950s and 60s, America was very strong and very libertarian, and certainly before the 1910s, and that's when we were at our strongest point. And that was my point about libertarianism versus socialism. But let me just describe this a little better by using the words of Jeffrey Myron, who's a Harvard economic professor, and I think he considers himself in a lot of ways libertarian, and I like his point of view.
The liberal and conservative perspectives are fundamentally different than the libertarian perspective, which is really unique. liberals and conservatives are at some level the same. My name is Jeff Myron, and I'm Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Department of Economics at Harvard University. I'd like to talk just a little bit about what it means to be a libertarian. I think at the most fundamental level, it means that you have a lot of respect for individual decisions and for the ability of people to make reasonable choices and decide for themselves what is in their own interest. And you have a huge suspicion of the ability of government to make people better, to make the economy or society better by coercing individuals to doing things that they don't want to do. And so the libertarian view does not align at all well with standard Republican views. It does not align at all well with standard Democratic views. Libertarians are against drug prohibition. They're tolerant of gay marriage. They're against severe restrictions on abortion, and so on. They think individuals should be able to make all those sorts of decisions and live their lives as they want to live them. It also means that you're very skeptical of economic policies, so you're a fiscal conservative. You think that most of the things governments spend money on are spent interfering with free markets, interfering with individual decisions, impeding people's ability to just live their lives the way they want by choosing their occupations, choosing how much education, choosing where to work and whom to work for. The liberal and conservative perspectives are fundamentally different than the libertarian perspective, which is really unique. Liberals and conservatives are at some level the same. They're authoritarians. They both have views on the right way for people to run their lives, and they want to impose that on people, whereas libertarians want to let people choose for themselves how to run their lives, rather than having government tell people that there's one right way to do things and other ways that are not legitimate.
So, yeah, that's my point of view almost entirely. I disagree about the flexibility on abortion. I mean, I don't think that libertarians want to have strict penalties on things like that, on individual choices. However, I do think that, libertarians draw a moral line in a lot of cases and, for example, aren't in favor of legalizing murder. Like, for example, if somebody thought that I was a useless, expendable human being, that I don't think most libertarians would think it would be okay to kill me or get rid of me. I don't think that's a libertarian view, so I don't want people to confuse the matter as far as what I believe. Now, I know a lot of libertarians believe exactly how Jeffrey Myron believes, and I totally appreciate his point of view. But like I said, I do disagree a little bit, and I make my own choices. I'm not a follower. I try to just, hold true to my own personal principles and try to believe in the liberty that I express that I want and allow other people to have that liberty as well. Without giving liberty to all, really none of us have liberty. We all have to share that liberty, or liberty really isn't liberty. And so, yes, I'm a libertarian. I like to think I'm a libertarian to the most true core of the matter, of the ideal. But I may not be considered like that, as some people may consider it different in different ways than I do. But here's the point, and like I said, I don't lead, represent, or try to coerce or intervene for anybody. Some people would think because I am a minister or I call myself reverend that it's possible I would like to lead a church and lead the people in the church and be their leader, or so on and so forth. That is simply not the case. Here is one definition of a minister, and this is the definition I really go by. To administer or dispense a sacrament, for example. Cannabism, cannabis, hemp, ganja, marijuana is my sacrament. To administer or dispense it is something that I have taken upon myself as a minister to do. And I have blessed many people with seeds, and that's something that I feel is an obligation of mine, to help other people with something that is God-given, grows out of the ground, and produces seeds. I can't consider cannabis a drug either. And I saw this on somebody's profile recently. I wish I could, let me see if I can find it. Paul Van Hartman, yes. Paul Van Hartman said this about. I've got to copy it and paste it into. Oh, he says here, drugs don't make seeds, herbs do, and that's my point about about cannabis, is that it is a herb, it is not a drug. Herbs have medicinal properties, but they also have other properties and are useful for many things. Drugs are useful for one thing, which is medicine, and cannabis is so much more. Cannabis is industrial hemp, cannabis is fuel, cannabis is building materials, cannabis is clothing, rope, cannabis is definitely medicine, food, so many things cannabis is, that it is not just a drug, and it is not just medical only. Cannabis has so many uses, and I can't limit it to just one thing or another. So, I wanted to get that clear because some people seem as if though they're confused. So thanks for listening. Check us out at www.xcannabis.com. Peace.